Provisional invoicing has been added to leverage 2024 R1. Provisional invoicing is used in a scenario where, mostly in the ethanol world, where ethanol might be shipped and the final price is not determined until after the shipment has been received by the customer. So what they do, the first step is you do the shipment and you might do a provisional invoice. And the provisional invoice is a nominal amount that will be paid at time of shipment. And then the final invoice, the second step, the final invoice will be paid, which is the difference of the provisional amount and the final invoice price at the end of the shipment, at the end of the period. So let's take a look at what provisional invoicing does, and we'll just walk through a scenario and see how it might work. So first of all, provisional invoicing is a new feature, and it's part of feature management. So in order to get it to show up on your screen, the user must go to System Administration and turn on the feature using feature management. So you click on System Administration, Feature Management, and we're going to go to all the features in the system, and we can do a search here that contains the word provisional. Apply that filter to the list of all the features, and now you see provisional ship not invoiced. That is the feature we want to enable. And you can see here, it is enabled. I could disable it, but we're going to leave it enabled. If you want to use provisional invoice, you'll need to have it enabled in your system in order to do that. So in my case, I already have it enabled, so we are good to go. Another setup that needs to occur with provisional invoicing is on the item. Now, not all items usually have the ability or that you even want to provisionally invoice. In our case, we only want to provisional invoice ethanol. We don't want to provisionally invoice distillers grains or other products. So we have a little setup on the product. So we go to Product Information Management. We go to Released Products. And let's see if we can find our ethanol product here. And here it is. So you can see over on this product for ethanol, I have a provisional invoicing and a final invoicing item number here. So this flags that it can be provisionally, this item can be provisionally invoiced, and then the final invoice is the item number of the service item that is used to create that additional payment at the end of after the provisional invoice, and it's the final payment. So it's the difference of the provisionally invoiced and the final price. So that is set up, this ethanol item I have set up here as a service item. It is not inventoried because as part of the provisional invoicing, when we do the provisional invoice is when we relieve the inventory and the original ethanol. And so that ethanol will be inventoried item, but the subsequent payment is not going to affect inventory. So it's just a service and an ability to get that extra payment at the end. So let's watch that as we go through. So now let's go ahead. The next step is to create a provisional invoice contract. So to do that is we do commodity accounting and we do sales contracts. And we create a new sales contract. And provisionally invoice is almost always a basis contract. In other words, the basis is set, but probably not the board price. So we're going to do ethanol. And we are going to do maybe we'll do a Marathon Oil will be our customer. And let's sell them 100,000 gallons of ethanol and we're going to do a truckload, 7,500 gallons per truckload. Let's add a fee just for fun. We're going to use the origin quantities on this case. The delivery period, since it is May, we're going to use 24/01/5 May of 2024. And our basis, let's say it's a plus 10 cents. And it is a provisional contract. And the provisional price, let's say they're going to pay us $1 when we ship it. And then they will provide, then based on the index that's used to calculate the final price, we will get the additional after that. So the provisional terms here, let's say it is an average, a weekly average. So it's a weekly average price for the week it was shipped, and provisionally priced at $1. So it's going to be a weekly average here. Hit create. So now you can see here, we've added some data fields here for the provisional invoice. We have it is a provisional contract, and it is calculated a weekly average price. Now, since it's a weekly average price, we probably want to narrow down this delivery period here. I've set it here just to go from May 1st to the 31st, but since it's weekly, let's go ahead and change that. So it's this week, the week of the 12th through the 18th. So anyway, we're going to take shipments sometime during this week is when we plan to ship this. Now, if we add some the following week, we could add additional delivery lines to do that here, but we're going to take all 14 of them per our schedule here this week. So we hit save here, and the contract here is ready to go. The next step now is to apply scale tickets to that, or meter tickets to that contract. So I'm going to go ahead and do that through the outbound ticket application screen. And we are going to see that I have keyed in a number of meter tickets here for Marathon Oil, and we're just going to go ahead and add 3 or 4 of them here and apply them to the contract at 30,000 gallons worth. And we hit OK. Notice now we've added the provisional price to that ticket application screen, so you can make sure you're applying the ticket to the right contract. So the first step is now that we've had the sales contract in place, we actually shipped some product this week, and now we want to provisionally invoice that. Let's say it comes that we want to do that today. So the first step then is to go to this new menu item called Provisional Shipped Not Invoiced. So we can click on that particular menu item, and we can see here that those 4 tickets to Marathon Oil now, since we've applied them to that provisional contract, show up here and is ready to go. So I'm going to click here to zoom down, or we can click the scale tickets to see the 4 scale tickets. And let's say, you know what, we are ready to do a provisional invoice for this. We're going to pick all 4 of these. And you can see that it's $30,310 because that's $1 provisional price times the number of gallons that we have. And we do have charges, so we have the ability to deduct charges at provisional time, and I'm just going to go ahead and leave them on. We could delete them or add others if we wanted to, but we're just going to go ahead and leave them on this provisional invoice and go ahead and generate the provisional invoice. So what the provisional invoice is doing now, it's creating a sales invoice for the ethanol. And as this will reduce the inventory of ethanol and create then a sales invoice and accounts receivable so that we can receive payment for this product. And we're gonna print both the invoice and the settlement sheet. You can see here, I think it will ask for the settlement sheet destination. And then you can see here, the first thing we'll see is the sales invoice. You can see 1 row for each scale ticket, the quantity, the price, and the dollar amount. Notice we took the charge out here. So the total provisional dollar amount is $30,230. And again, we've created an invoice in the system for that. And if we want to, we can see this also is generated a provisional settlement sheet that shows the summary, the fees here, the total dollar amount, the fees, the net check amount, and then each scale ticket, and the quantity and the gross and net quantities that were used to calculate the provisional amount. So the next step after we've shipped the product, at the end of the week, we're going to kind of fast forward in time and say, okay, now it's time to do the final invoice. So time has passed, and now we're going to get the difference. Okay, so we're going to do that when we get that check or get that settlement from our customer. We're going to go to commodity accounting, and we're going to go provisionally shipped, not invoiced. Now you'll see this shows again, but notice here that it's got some unpriced tickets on it because we haven't set the final price. We've only set the provisional price. And this set of tickets has been provisionally invoiced prior. So now we are going to go ahead and do a final price on that. So we're going to click on those scale tickets here, and we're going to settle them all. And we are going to set the final price here on that contract. So notice there's no net price here. So we need to set the final price. And let's say the final price was $1.40. So that'll give us a net price of $1.50. Now, since we already provisionally invoiced $1, we should see an invoice now for that additional 50 cents. Let's see if that happens. We create that pricing. And you notice here that we have some additional fees and charges that we've decided to take based on these. Oops, let's go here. We have some, the commission and the way fee are being deducted from this final settlement. It's $15,000. And let's go ahead and create the final invoice. Notice we can't provisionally invoice it again. You can only provisionally invoice once. Let's do the final invoice. And let's print the invoice. And now we can see that we have a 50-cent invoice, which is the difference between the $1.50 final price and the dollar that we provisionally in price. So we got 50 cents on each of those scale tickets. We have a charge on each one that's calculated accordingly. With a net sales invoice now, they owe us an additional $14,473. And we can also see then optionally, you don't have to print this final settlement, but also the final settlement is available. If you'd like to print it, it does a little bit more details here on your charges and fees, and then the contract, and then each of the scale tickets and the amount that was the final invoice amount that was calculated as part of that. So that kind of gets us through the invoicing part of provisional invoicing, but that's not all. We have added the ability to manage the risk on these provisionally invoiced contracts. So let me show you what I mean. We're going to go to the long short hedge position. So in order to do that, we're going to commodity accounting. We're going to inquiries and reports. Under risk, we're going to the hedge position report. And this is very familiar, like we've done in the past, except we've added this new provisional calendar. And so if this provisional calendar is here, what it will do, it will allocate a portion of the unshipped provisionally invoiced contracts to the cash position. So what it's done here now is taken that one contract. There's 3 contracts, and I can drill down, and you can see now we've added this new line for provisionally invoice allocated. So this takes a portion of that sales contract and puts it up in your cash position. And so you can see here this 50,000 is made up of this one contract, 50,940 gallons. And if we look at that contract, the delivery period on that is coming from here, from the 12th to the 18th, and today's the 15th. So we have, based on our calendar, we have 3 days, and so it's 3/5 of this 84,000 gallons. So how did we know to take 3/5 of that 84,000? We did that by using this calendar. So a key part of making this long short hedge position work with the provisional invoicing is to make sure you have a provisional calendar. So this calendar I've set up here is a Chicago Mercantile Exchange calendar. So it just has the day that days that CME is open. Let's take a look at what that means. Whoops, I hit the OK there. We'll just drill down on that. That's what I wanted to do. Okay, you can see we have this calendar. We can see here when we click on the calendar, we can see the working times, and you can see which days the market's open. Okay, so every day is in here, and every day you can determine whether it's open or not. So the system only calculates the allocated quantity to show in your cash position. The allocated quantity of a provisional contract is calculated by taking the number of market days in that delivery period and dividing it by the open quantity. And so, and then that gives you the number of days times the number of, or the quantity per day, and then we take it times the number of days since the start. So let's take a look real quick on how we create a new calendar, and it's pretty easy. I'll just do a test contract here, or a test calendar here. So we type in test, and I'm going to make a test calendar. And then I am going to go to the working times. I'm going to hit compose working times. And you can start, and I'm just going to do for the month of May. You could do a longer period if you'd like. We're not going to use a base calendar, and we're going to hit OK. And now you can see that the system generates all those days for us. And whether they're closed or not, well, it's smart enough to know that obviously it's closed because it's May 15th. So everything before May 15th is closed. Actually, it closed all of them. So what we want to do is open up the weekdays here. So they are open on Thursday, Friday, but it's closed Saturday, Sunday. So it won't count those days. And then we can change this to open and change them all, update them all to be open as we go. So this is how you make your calendar. If they're closed on a holiday, then you close that Monday. Otherwise, you just open up the days that the Board of Exchange is open. And then that's how it will calculate the proper quantity to allocate to that long short cash position, the proper quantity of the provisional contracts to allocate to there. So in summary, in Leverage 2024 R1, we've added some brand new provisionally invoicing functionality. It's tied to a feature, so you will enable it in feature management. If you don't use it, you will not enable it, and it won't get you in your way. We have the ability to do provisional invoice at a provisional price. We have the ability to do the final invoice at the final price. The difference between the provisional price and the final price then is invoiced. And we've also taken it even further and updated the long short with a provisionally invoiced position that will display the risk position of the provisional invoice quantity into the cash position of the long short if you choose to.